All right, I'm back. As
Oh,
I was
and
going, oh, you're here? You're here?
yeah, I was here the whole time. I mean, as I said, I have my water bottle right next to my desk. No, I was like, okay, Aussie is not here, so I'm just gonna introduce this myself. So I have a very nice clean cut point, and I was like, okay, that's the cutting point, and the next second you start laughing, and I'm like, oh shoot, that perfect opening ruined.
Oh my gosh.
I
Yeah,
might leave
I
it
like.
like that. It's like, someone opens this on YouTube and it's gonna be like, okay, I'm expecting a cast here, and then you just have one specific Drongo starting to laugh right at the beginning.
Sounds like the perfect cast to me. Oh gosh. Oh yeah, I was running down the stairs and I could just hear your voice still going. I'm like,
All right, it is 5 seconds left to go. StrikeR versus Leenock with the final chance to get into the N4C. There's only 2 more spots left open. Take it away.
G'day, fellas, and welcome to a casted game. Spawning in on the south side of the map, we've got Leenock in the blue trunks, playing as the Abbasid dynasty. His opponent, who spawns on the north side of the map, in the color red. Who have we got up here, Lidakor?
We got the one and only StrikeR playing as the Red French out here. A player with a very badass name, if I may say so, is the type of guy that you can just introduce like, and we got the StrikeR. As he's opening with that second scout.
Yeah, it's good to see the second scout getting out on the map. This is seeming to be the very standard build that's coming in, especially on these open maps. On the other side of the map, we see that Leenock is doing the exact same thing. So despite the difference in language, we have no difference when it comes to openings between these two players.
Not at all. Looking at the base of StrikeR over here, he's got a gold mine at the back, which is immensely valuable for the French. And it's also a gold mine that could be walled off using those forests. So it's a very well defendable base over here for StrikeR. And nothing to be ashamed of either for Leenock. He's got the berries very safe. Having that safe is just one of the key elements of Abbasid gameplay, because if we look at the patch notes, if we look at the developer notes in the last patch that was released, one of the key things that the devs said is that they wanted to make the Delhi and the Abbasids prioritize the berries over the sheep, something that they accomplished by boosting the berry gather rate.
Yeah, yet still we see that, I mean, he's definitely going for that, but I just want to take a look at that base that StrikeR's got. That is an absolutely gorgeous base. So yeah, as you mentioned, very easy for him to wall that off. I wouldn't be surprised if we do see a wall come in across here at the back. It's just so easy for him to do that. And then by the same token, up towards the northern position on that other flank, it's easy for him to wall in. He's going to have access to that gold mine, the stone mine that's there as well. So if he wants to do that, he's going to be able to do it. But I mean, it's a beautiful base that he's going to have today.
Indeed, it's a very beautiful base for both players. The biggest problem for Leenock is that both of his forests are up front, so it's a little more difficult to defend. But aside from that, it's a beautiful base. Also worth noting the berry spots for Leenock. He's got a pretty decent second berry spot to the left of his base. That's also a key factor for the Abbasids, because they want to rely on those berries as long as possible. The third berry patch, not so great though. A little exposed up front over here, as we indeed have just a very standard Dark Age opening from both of these players. StrikeR sending villagers to wood is a sign that he wants to go for a second production building though, which is likely going to be an archer range to accompany the knights from the School of Cavalry.
Yeah, smart moves coming out from him. Now, one of the things that you mentioned was that second berry patch, but have a look here. It's there's a huge amount of deer down towards this position over here for Leenock. He's going to be absolutely happy when he finds this out. So there's just basically a food bonanza over here. I mean, it is brunch time for him. He's going to be eating all of that up. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a second TC getting plocked down right over there. But he's now going to be clicking up to the next stage, going up with the economic wing. No real surprise there, Lidakor. I don't think I've ever seen any player ever go for any other wing, except for one. And it was actually StrikeR. It was on Black Forest. It was a game against me. I was going to do a Chinese Palace Guard rush, and he just did Camel Archers, and he went for the military wing first. And he beat me.
I think in the early days we had players experimenting with the military wing. I remember Taro in the early days trying to go for that and just use that camel support. So have like one camel archer and just supporting the archers, and it actually worked quite nicely. The biggest thing here is that while camel support is a good upgrade, fresh foodstuffs is an exceptional upgrade. So there are better alternatives than any other wing. So the economy wing is always going to be the most effective, no matter what you do in feudal.
Yeah, I got to agree with you 100%. Economic wing is just one of those wings. I mean, it just becomes such a staple for the civilization, and I think it might be I don't know, maybe it's a good idea to throw out. You know, I've been talking about this a fair bit. If people aren't taking those other options, well, maybe we should make them a little bit more attractive so that they actually do it. You know, things like if you're playing, or like preservation of knowledge. Maybe make it so that your first technology is free and every other technology 30% off. Then you could do things like, you know, straight, you know, age up with the culture wing and then go straight into double broad axe or something like that. Who knows? There are lots of different things that you could do to make that a little bit more spicy.
Absolutely. The culture wing would be your second best option, probably going into feudal age. But as you said, the economy wing is just so powerful over here. One of the things that I would really look forward to for a future of Age of Empires 4, though, is Red Bull sponsoring an Abbasid-only tournament so they can say that Red Bull gives you wings.
God, Lidakor, what are we going to do with you? It's just going to be Abbasid mirrors, and there's just going to be everyone. The rules are that you must play Abbasid, you must go to age 4, and you must build all 4 wings of the House of Wisdom.
Yeah, I worked so hard for that joke. Now, we got the...
You've had that one in the back pocket. You wrote that one down on Tuesday, like, oh, this is going to be...
No. I made it up like 2 seconds ago, and I was like, okay, let's hope that Aussie is going to speak for 5 more seconds, so I have the time to polish this joke and deliver it in an appropriate way. Now, speaking of delivery, there is going to be a villager that will be delivered to hell up north. StrikeR could lose that villager to a scout of Leenock.
Yeah,
or will he?
He almost lost it. That scout managing to get taken out of the last second. Good little pickup there. But on the other side of the map, I think that StrikeR might be eyeing off some potential attack himself. Leenock sitting, waiting. That spearman in wait. Going to be coming out now and fighting off his enemy. But keep in mind, that is what French is all about. They want to get in up and close and personal with that villager. Does the villager go down? It manages to get inside the town center. Leenock going to be very happy with this early effort as he pushes back with the Royal Knight. But keep in mind, this is where the advantage comes. Typically, you don't want to be making spears against France if you're playing as the French, because there's much more effective units that counter these knights.
Speaking of being effective, StrikeR is losing that knight over there. That's a massive casualty. That was almost a full HP knight that just got slaughtered by the spearman. Definitely not a loss that he wanted to take.
Yeah, I think he must have been distracted at the same time in his own base. There's the scout coming out from Leenock just being annoying, and I think that that's probably was just distracting him. And typically when you've got these alarms that go off in your ears, you kind of begin to blur them out once there's like 2 or 3 of them happening at the same time, and I think that might have been the case. So it's those small little things. But you mentioned earlier that we would potentially see a double or a range coming out, and that is indeed going to be the case. But keep in mind, he's also going for professional scouts here as well.
Ooh, like the professional scouts meta, as a knight charges in here for StrikeR, Leenock is a little slow to react, and that is going to be one villager taken down here on the stone mine. Slowly but surely, StrikeR is carving out an advantage because, as you said, with professional scouts, he's going to have a great food eco, and also he's starting to kill villagers from the other party.
Yeah, but speaking of villagers being killed, it looks like a scout almost going down in the middle of the map. He manages to bring back that carcass. That deer is going to be very nicely carved out as well, just like that lead that StrikeR was building. But speaking of StrikeR, I mean, I'm a little bit curious to know what you think his transition is going to be here, because obviously he knows that he's going up against the Abbasid. Highly likely that he's going to be going for a double TC. He's scouted the stone coming out for his opponent. So how do you think he's going to play this when we enter into the transitional period?
This is a difficult matchup for him because the 2 DCs will pay off really fast for the Abbasids, given that they can build it, because that's not something that Leenock was able to accomplish so far. Another villager went down on that stone mine. So I think the first benchmark point for him is to delay that town center as much as possible, because the problem with the French is that they take a lot of time to get to castle because their army is very expensive. So I think your transitional period will first consist of just trying to pick off villagers left and right with your knights and just try to delay that eco build-up as much as possible and try to carve out a reasonable castle age for yourself and avoid falling behind in that regard.
Speaking of falling behind, it looks like this knight coming in going to be able to try and pick off that villager. I'm not sure if you saw that. He manages to take it out before the villager goes down. That was absolutely beautiful timing right there from Leenock. So a huge mistake from StrikeR. For anybody wondering what was the mistake that just happened from StrikeR, he charged his cavalry, or he charged his knight onto the villager. And that is a big mistake because it allows the spearman to intercept the knight and prevent it from attacking. You saw it was sitting still. It was rooted in place. It couldn't do anything. But speaking of rooted, it looks like a villager unfortunately going to be going down. It has indeed been completely stuffed. Yeah, huge mistake coming out there from StrikeR and getting punished pretty severely by Leenock.
Indeed, he has been throwing away some key knights over there, and those knights are really important for him. Luckily, he's getting some sort of return value for them. He's killing villagers, and given the fact that he's training villagers faster with the French, he currently has 35 villagers against 28, and that's exactly the position that he wants to be in. In fact, he's adding a second stable, so the plan is clear. He just wants to keep these raids up and just try to minimize the amount of villagers that Leenock can pump out and stay safe with.
Yeah, I think that the question's going to be as to how he looks to finish this game. When you are on one town center playing up against two, you're on a timer, and you know that. And so that means that, typically if you are playing against the one town, or if you've got the one town center, you're going to have a very straight line going up, whereas the two town center, the villages are going to be coming out a lot faster. So you have to sort of identify where is it that you're going to be looking to attack, and that's normally around maybe the 15 to 18 minute mark. And as to how you do that, I mean, you can do it in the second age, you can do it in the third age. We've seen games where people look to do it typically with the Mongols in the third age or with the Abbasid in the third age, but for the French, it seems to be in the second age. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see an all-out attack coming out from StrikeR here in the feudal age.
He is harassing the gold miners for sure, and he missed out on the opportunity to hit the berry villagers on the left side. He didn't have a scout accompanying those knights, and because of that, he wasn't able to see those villagers out there, but he's still doing a lot of pressure on Leenock's base, also cutting him off from gold, which will delay Castle Age quite a bit for Leenock.
Yeah, now one of the things to note is I would actually say Leenock is misplaying this. I don't think he's respecting the French raids enough here. And what do I mean by that? I mean the fact that he's got a whole bunch of villagers out here just sitting by this mill. There's no outpost out here. Now, granted, he does have those spears, but ideally he'd love to have those spears in the base. He's lost a lot of villagers up until this point. If we take a look at the villager count, he's sitting on 36 at the moment, whereas his opponent, StrikeR, currently sits on 40. So he's got a 4-villager lead despite having only one town center.
And that is a massive problem, especially with those archers coming in, because knights and archers, especially in such large numbers, it's going to be difficult to hold off with just spears and horsemen. There is a counterattack coming in from Leenock with those horsemen, but the base of StrikeR is well defendable. We talked about the possibility of walling this off, so it's going to be difficult for Leenock to do damage, whereas for StrikeR, this is the perfect time to strike.
Oh gosh, what are we gonna do with you, Lidakor? We're gonna have to take you back to the orphanage and get a new one. Leenock now under significant threat. These knights are seriously creating a huge amount of trouble. So right now he's pushing in towards the town center. I'm just looking at my chat right now. Someone said 2 dad jokes. Oh gosh, I think they like us, Lidakor. I think they like us.
Well, they were gonna have to get used to us, because this could be a long set over here. Not so much as the life length of these villagers on the left side. Finally, StrikeR finds them, and they're just wide open for killing. As you said, Leenock didn't really respect the possibility of those French raids coming in, and now he's going to pay the price.
And that's exactly it. When it comes to these villages, I mean, and these French raids, you can't just work on the idea or the hope that you're going to be able to rescue these villages. You have to keep nearby safety for them. You need to have an outpost. You need to have a town center. There needs to be something there that is going to enable them some form of safety. And unfortunately, Leenock doesn't do that. He loses a huge amount of villages. Only got 5 left. I think he had almost double digits out there. Maybe 8, maybe 9 villages. So very unfortunate.
It minimized the damage though, so it looked a lot scarier than it became. And that is thanks to the spearmen and the horsemen arriving to the battle. But as you said before, Leenock is not in a position villager-wise where he wants to be. He wants to be like double the villagers already, or at least close to that. But in fact, he's behind in villagers compared to his opponent. At like 13-14 minutes with the Abbasids, you're looking into like a 60 to 40 villager count ideally. And that's not the case here at all.
Yeah, he's really behind where he wants to be with the villager count. I think another thing that probably hasn't happened for Leenock is he hasn't had enough walls going up. So we do continue to see these raids throughout the game that are just hitting his wood line, hitting his berries, hitting his gold mine, hitting his stone mine as well. So if we could have seen some walls, and I guess that also comes down to the fact that when it comes to his map, it wasn't the best spawn. If you would have flipped these two players around, if you were to take Abbasid, put them on the north side, you'd have a beautiful spawn coming out here for them, and it would have been a very easy case to get those two town centers down. But on the south side, it was a little bit harder for him to do that.
Leenock just had a mastermind move in the middle of the map. He had a scout accompanying the horseman, and he hit his entire force in the stealth forest. He spotted the knights, and he just hid in the stealth forest and waited for the knights to pass, so he wasn't gonna get spotted. One thing he doesn't know is that he was gonna bump into walls over here, but the idea was great to just avoid encountering those knights entirely.
Yeah, that's a pretty smart move right there. But speaking of other smart moves, StrikeR now trying to come in and all those spears almost taking out all of those knights, but unfortunately, knights do make it away. Leenock now heading up to the next age, going up with the culture wing. No real surprise there. It's a very, very standard age 3 wing that you would go up with. A couple of knights now up towards the north, also going to be picking up these horsemen. So that raid is going to be going unaffected at the same time. Knights going down towards the south as well, looking to harass Leenock. So Leenock under significant pressure here.
And he's coming in with the pressure from the north as well. The spearmen are mispositioned, and once again, StrikeR will be able to get a couple of villager kills over here. In fact, it's going to be quite a few. That's the second villager going down over here. Now the knights will probably have to disengage against all those spearmen. And on the other side, those horsemen were unable to do anything, basically. They're just being pursued by the knights. StrikeR had a pretty decent resource bank for a long time, but he's just now going up to the Castle Age with the Guild Hall, whereas on the other side, Castle Age is almost finished already for Leenock.
Yeah, I think you really start to see the difference between the horseman and the knight in a matchup like this, especially where you've got Leenock who is actively trying to raid, because you start to see how useless the horseman is when it comes to this kind of stuff. The knight comes in, 1 tap, 2 tap, everybody's dead. The horseman comes in, 1 stab, 2 stab, 3 stab, and like you've fallen asleep because you've been stabbed so many times, but you wake up after 4 hours because the horseman's still stabbing you, because you're still not bloody dead, because you're only being stabbed by a horseman and not a knight. And that's like where the real difference comes in.
Now, speaking of something being stabbed, that's a lot of spearmen moving forward, and Abbasids not needing to research the technology for siege weapons, they can start making mangonels on the battlefield against all those archers. Archer numbers are looking decent for StrikeR, but he could be in a difficult spot trying to hold off those Castle Age forces. Question is, are we going to see a couple of knights also added by Leenock? The answer so far is no. Maybe even a camel. What do you think about that?
Yeah, camel could definitely work. I'm really loving what we're seeing out of Leenock. As long as he gets through the veteran spearmen as quickly as possible, which he hasn't actually done yet. So hopefully we see that coming through soon. I'm trying to see, why does it say I'm hovering over Leenock and his barracks is just saying no other upgrade? Oh, he doesn't have the gold for it. Yeah, so I ideally needs to be getting those hardened spearmen, but I think he could actually win this game right here. This is an incredibly strong death push. The main thing... Oh, he's actually already got veteran spearmen coming in. I don't know why that was bugged.
If it says no other upgrades, it means that you are researching it on a different building. So he was doing that on the barracks close to his wood line out there. And as you said, now with the veteran spears, this is a tough hold for StrikeR.
Yeah, I think Leenock wins this. I don't think StrikeR can stop it. This is the power of the Abbasid timing right here. So despite losing out a huge amount of villagers in the early game, he still managed to keep it ahead. Villagers, oh my lord! He manages to get them inside the town center. I'm not sure if you saw that. The villagers sitting on the front line here. There was a deer carcass that was being gathered up by about 10 villagers. They all managed to make it inside alive. But this is a beautiful timing coming in from Leenock. And what's really difficult right here is that StrikeR is unable to contest this siege mass. Simply because the siege workshop, it's going to take time for it to come up. It's going to take time to get those units out. You really, like, to match this, you're going to need 2 siege workshops at least, and that's 500 wood. Actually, I think it's 600 wood. Give me a second here, Lidakor. That's 600 wood. That's a lot of wood.
And a lot of gold to get some spring golds going, and look at the gold income of StrikeR. There is none. He ran out of gold behind his town center, and he's just now readjusting his villagers. He doesn't have gold, and he's running out at the worst possible moment, because he's getting outnumbered very heavily here, and he has no answer to the siege.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see a few battering rams coming in. One of the big mistakes you can make here is in a push like this is not bringing in a battering ram. The battering ram is going to be able to soak up that town center fire. It's going to force the issue as well. If your opponent doesn't respond to you, you will be able to clean them up with that. But we see Leenock posturing towards the west of the base now, looking for an angle to come in. Not really finding anything at the moment. Got 1,000 wood stacked up there. Obviously very cognizant of a flank as well. We did see up towards the north those Royal Knights moving around. But they do just for the moment seem to be sitting by, just minding their own business.
They do have the veteran upgrade, and there is an option to just sally out on the left side, and this could give a nice window to StrikeR to potentially jump on those siege weapons. Remember, the Knight attack against siege weapons got buffed in the previous patch, so it is actually possible to jump on those mangonels, and once you have the mangonels down, you could use your archers. The StrikeR is also massing a lot of scouts here as the cheap torch unit. He just wants to burn down those siege weapons before he engages with the archers.
Yeah, interestingly, Leenock is not attacking from this south position.
The villagers underneath the town center, that's at least 6.
That is a huge amount of villagers that just went down. Yeah, I'm trying to inspect their bodies. We can see on the inside of the town center there appears to be at least 2 people that have gone down, 3 on the outside at least. It ain't pretty.
Scouts moving to the right side, Knights from the left side. Leenock doesn't have a ton of vision on this though, so this could come as a very nasty surprise, having attacked from 3 directions, and here it comes. Scouts on the way towards those mangonels, Knights as well.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough hold right now. Leenock under significant threat. We've got a beautiful surround coming in for StrikeR. You can see Leenock beginning to scatter his forces. It's almost like he's somewhat unprepared as the mangonels continue to fire out on the infantry. Scout's going to be able to come through, be able to sacrifice themselves and look to pick up these mangonels on the front line. The first one almost going down. No villagers getting pulled at this point in time. Also got the Knights now coming in over from the north side. Not going to have a lot of luck. All of the mangonels do manage to make it out alive, and you can see he's done a very good job of protecting it. And it looks like StrikeR are going to tap out. Leenock victorious in this first game of the N4C qualifying final.
What a fight over here. Really, this just came down to the micro between these two players, and StrikeR pulled everything he had. He waited for his scout numbers to rise, and he knew exactly he needed to take down those mangonels, and Leenock's unit control was just exceptional there. He was able to keep those spears distributed between the left and the right evenly, so he holds off the scouts and the knights at the same time, and no matter how hard StrikeR tried, it was impossible for him to snipe the mangonels, and 3 mangonels is not something that you can juke against with your archers, and ultimately, StrikeR just lost most of his army. The final dip in the military count represents the quality of that fight and how good it was for Leenock.
Yeah, it was a very, very beautiful fight. To me, it almost looked like StrikeR thought he was going to be able to move in with his scouts and be able to kill the siege. And as a result, he didn't bring his knights in right until the end. But at that point, it was already too late because he failed to kill the siege. That's what it kind of looked like to me. It was a bit of hesitation that was going on there, it seemed. So he didn't commit completely. And I think that that's come back to haunt him. I'd love to know from his perspective whether that was the case, but I'm sure we'll find out eventually. But Lidakor, pretty good game 1. Thanks for the cast. I'm going to sign out for YouTube. So fellas on YouTube, I hope you guys enjoyed that one. We'll catch you guys in game number 2. Game number 2, rather. It's coming right up.
And it will be on the home map of StrikeR. His options are Border Bay, Lipany, and Hillandale. He did lose his French. Leenock lost his Abbasids. All the other civilizations are available for players. If we play 7 games, 7 out of 8 civilizations will be used for each player, and the likely civilization that's missing out will be Chinese, unless a massive surprise happens. How does it make you feel that Chinese are so underused today? I know that you're a big Chinese fan. What does that mean to you?
Look, I'm going to be honest. I don't know the Chinese Civ anymore. I used to be really good friends with China. We were great friends. We used to play all the time. I used to do cool Song Dynasty booms. But now, Chinese Civ, they're just not good anymore. They're just not good. It's not fun playing China. And I think that everybody is on the same page when it comes to that. So hopefully we see some China changes in the future, but it is heartbreaking because, you know, it's never nice to look back upon your previous civilizations and reminisce about the good days.
Yeah, I can understand that. 100% understand that. Maybe if you write a song about it.
I like that, Lidakor. I like that. Okay, I'm gonna start working on the lyrics right now.
All
Okay,
right.
so it's gonna be from the Backstreet Boys "Drowning." I know that already. I'm just gonna. All right, you do your thing over there. I'm just gonna rock out for a bit.
Well, I
Did you
can
want to?
tell you
Did you
that
want to
you're
rock out
going to
with me?
have your time to write your song because I see the civilizations and I don't even have to think to figure out the map from this one.
It's Boulder Bay.
It's Boulder Bay, and it's a roost mirror.
Do we even bother casting this game? It's going to be so annoying. Oh man, this is. Yeah, you said to me that. I'm like, yep, all right, it's Boulder Bay.
Yeah,
It's Boulder
like,
Bay.
not gonna lie, like, yesterday we had a set where we had like a 25, 30 minutes long Boulder Bay game. It was just a back and forth micro of ships, and I was like, okay, the only thing that I benefit in my life from this game is that I can improve my play-by-play casting because I can just do play-by-play all day because there's nothing to analyze in that game. Uh,
All right, well, I'm gonna get my legs up and I'm gonna start thinking about some lyrics because yeah, I need to bring the Chinese back, baby.
well, 3.5 minutes left to go until the one, the only, the majestic Rus Mirrors on Border Bay. And it's one of the more problematic components of a best of 7 currently being played in Age of Empires 4. We rarely have 7 good maps to play in the game. Like, the game comes with like 10, 15 built-in maps at maximum, and out of which stuff like Archipelago or Warring Islands are completely unusable. So
Yeah,
if you want 7 different maps to be played, you're going to have to select some stuff like this. And from a tournament organizer's perspective, you still prefer Boulder Bay over something like Mountain Pass in many cases because maps like Mountain Pass carry a big danger, that being a stalemate. So what happens if you have a 5-hour long game on Mountain Pass? The entire schedule just gets broken up. So part of the reason why
yeah.
tournament organizers select Boulder Bay is because there are no better
It's gonna take
options in
6
some
minutes.
cases.
It's gonna take 6 minutes for a Boulder Bay game. So
True.
essentially, whoever gets up to the feudal age first wins the game.
True, that's also true. You can cut down on the schedule. It's like, oh shoot, 3 best of 7s are too long. What do we do? Okay, let's just put in a Boulder Bay game because we know it ends in 5 minutes.
Yeah, yeah. Oh man. All right, I'm gonna rock out over here to some Backstreet Boys. Don't mind me.
Oh boy. In the meantime, StrikeR, a player that we haven't really talked about just yet, because, as you said, he played a lot in that pre-release version of the game. In fact, he won the first tournament. There was a stress test cup that was done during the Red Bull event of AoE 2, so like not a lot of people could sign up for it, but there was a mini tournament for like I think $100 prize pool or so during the technical stress test, and he actually won that. Ever since then, however, he struggled to deliver in big tournaments. So Genesis qualifiers only top 32, Steel Series Prime Cup top 32, and Winter Championship top 64. So this is so far his biggest accomplishment in any S tier Age of Empires 4 tournament. If he could qualify, that could be the biggest accomplishment of his career so far in AoE 4, and it would also be a very convenient journey to Berlin for him because he's German himself.
I miss China.
The effort I put into just entertaining the audience while we're waiting for the countdown and just having an insight into all of those mindsets from the players and all the previous statistics, and Drongo is like, I miss China. Oh, gotta love that. I think I forever broke Drongo. I just had to mention China, and Drongo is broken.
I just miss the good times.
Sad.
But now I got my new girl. I'm good. I'm good. I got my deli salted. Oh yeah.
If you weren't with us when Whole Own Blades was 25 minutes to research, you shouldn't be with us when our berries gather at an insane rate. Salami's probably like, get off my deli right now. I've been rocking deli since release. What are you doing here?
You're not wrong. I guarantee you that is exactly the case. But speaking of cases, g'day, fellas, and welcome to a casted game spawning in over on the east side of the map. We've got Leenock in the blue trunks playing as the Rus. And over on the opposite side of the map, I hear we've got one of the most exciting matchups ever, Lidakor. Who is it on the other side?
It is the one and only StrikeR with a Rus mirror for us. He's also rocking the Rus. And we do have, once again, a north to south orientation for the bay over here. It might just be me, but I think for all tournament games that we have seen in the last half a year, every single game was played on left to right orientation with the bay, and today we only have north to south orientation for it.
Yeah, I mean, just doing a little bit of a thorough assessment here on the bay. I mean, it starts out, you've got this sort of bit of a hook up towards the north and then comes down towards the side. On the south part, there is a little bit of an opening for the land. Obviously, you've got that there, but yeah, I think it's important to note that there's a bit of a lack of fish up towards the northern part of the Boulder Bay. But the good thing is that there's plenty of gold mines up towards the north, and down towards the south, you've got these couple of relics that are down here as well. Don't forget those deers as well. So yeah, I mean, like when it comes to the Boulder Bay, it's one of those maps that you got to try and work other things out because the gameplay here, I mean. Lidakor, just so you're aware, I was drawing on the minimap, demonstrating the shape of the bay.
I mean, I got used to it. It consistently spawns that way, so it's just a matter of which direction is it pointing towards, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I've gone from calling it like Boulder Bay, it is now Boner Bay. It is, it's tough. I mean, at this point in time, when you're watching games on Boulder Bay, you are just going to get fucked anyway. So we might as well have fun because this is a Rus mirror. And I mean, to talk about the way that this game is played at the moment. So essentially, how is it going to happen, Lidakor? It's a race. It is a race, not just a race against yourself, not just a race against time. It's a race against your enemy as well to get up to the second age as quickly as possible, to get some fishing boats over on their side of the map and to start shooting them with your little arrows before they do the same to you. And they're probably going to do the same to you, but you're going to be up a little bit quicker. It's going to mean that you've got a bit of an advantage. And that's what we're going to be seeing out today. I'm going for a 6-minute game here. What are you going for?
9. The thing is that you're absolutely right about the fact that it's a race, and it's a very, very tight race. It's not like, French knights racing. It's an actual super close race, because the thing that happens if you're just up 5 or 6 seconds faster is that you can start shooting at the opponent's ships 5 or 6 seconds faster. But the Lloydia attack ships do so much damage against the fishing boats that 5 or 6 seconds is enough for you to sink 2 or 3 vessels before they get converted to combat ships, and that's it. So really, in this matchup, every single second matters, and it just comes down to how effective and efficient your Dark Age build order is. Now, I'm not sure if it's just me, but there is a relic on this southern island. I don't think that Boulder Bay used to spawn like that, so this might be unique generation, where you have one relic behind each player's base that's consistent across all generations, 2 in the middle, split evenly, and the 5th one is probably at the most neutral ground possible, that is that neutral island.
Yeah. One of the differences that we are noticing here, in addition to seeing that relic that you did mention down towards the south, I don't think I've ever seen that before either. We've got 10 villages on this landmark for Leenock. Look how fast he's getting this bad boy up. It's 3:48. That bad boy is going to be up by 4 minutes, I tell you what. He is looking for a quick one on the same side. We're on the opposite side of the map. We've got StrikeR.
Transport ship. It's a transport ship from StrikeR.
Nah.
It is.
Nah. What? How? Why?
This could be big brain. This could be very big brain. I will have to do the math on this. But it's actually possible. It's reasonable.
Gets the attack ship out now. So what's the thinking? Hold on. He goes for the transport ship. Oh, it's cheaper. It's cheaper.
That's what I was thinking as well. I just needed to do the math. That it's cheaper this way.
Yeah, so it's... Oh, shit, it's way cheaper as well. Oh, shit. Yeah, you got a mad difference in cost. 70 and 60 versus... I'm pretty... I don't know exactly what it was, but it wasn't... it was a lot cheaper. Ooh,
it's
that's a big brain right there.
Food.
You got the calculator out over there.
No, I just used my head.
Wow. Jeez, I thought I was talented using the abacus. StrikeR now going to be looking to defend his position on water. We've actually got a relatively good game that has unfolded because players have worked out if they age up faster, they're going to be in a good position. And as a result, it means that both players have aged up very fast. We're sitting at 5 minutes into this game. It looks like one ship has managed to go down so far. And Lidakor, I think we might have a game on our hands.
Maybe. There's 2 fishing ships left over here for Leenock, just one for StrikeR, just added the second one, but his ships are kind of a bit weaker, and now he's losing that first Lodya fishing boat. Did jump into the dock though, so for now he's gonna be able to hold this, and this is the usual way of Boulder Bay getting played. One player attacks, the other one will defend using the passing, healing ability of the docks, and your 6-minute prediction might be a little off because we're getting close to that mark already.
Yes, yes, we are. I will note that at this point in time, Leenock's actually lost 2 boats already. Now, he's got the 3 Lodger attack ships, so he's gone very all-in, I feel. Not even making villages at the moment. He's got 2 units, or 2 villages on food. So he's actually just stopped making villages. That's how all-in he went. StrikeR on the other side of the map, still making villages. So 24 for him versus the 22 for Leenock. Leenock also losing out those boats. He's irked out a nice little advantage. We do cross that 6-minute line, so I'll give that to you, Lidakor. I did call that this game would last 6 minutes. You're going for 9 minutes, if I remember correctly. So let's see how accurate you can be. But who knows? Maybe we've got to start adding our numbers together and we get towards Boulder Bay at 69 minutes.
It is possible. StrikeR is nice. Diving in. But once again, it's the passive repairability of those docks that would just keep StrikeR off from here. He won't be able to take this fight, at least not an advantageous one.
Yeah, he's having a bit of trouble here. You can see he's managing. I feel like any player who just sort of pushes in like this, you're asking for trouble. The best thing you can probably do in this situation is just kind of hover outside the dock radius. It really just makes sense because, as you mentioned, the difficult thing that is going to happen is if you do push in towards this angle. I'm going to pull out my pen. I'm going to pull out my paper. So you've got this radius around the dock that is going to be healing up. Hold on. Where is it? There she is. So you've got a radius around that dock that is going to just be healing up constantly. And it means that if you're pushing in towards this angle or towards this angle, it's going to be really, really hard for you to try and take that out. So it means that you want to try and loop around towards a position like this. And it's going to mean that you're just preventing your enemy from really sort of doing any sort of shenanigans out here on the deep water fish. Oh, I drew another dick, man. This map just brings it out of you, doesn't it?
Sure it does. It also demonetizes all YouTube videos made out of this game.
Hey, it's a Boulder Bay video. No one was going to click on it anyways. Don't worry, Lidakor.
As you said, Leenock was going sort of an all-in style, so he dropped that second dock a lot faster. He's up to 7 combat ships. But on the other side, StrikeR caught up, and now he has a second dock as well with 8 combat ships. Once again, what are his odds of pushing into the healing radius of those docks?
I would say we're sitting at currently 33.33% reoccurring, of course. It looks like my calculations have been wrong. He's gone right underneath the docks. He's actually got the critical mass that he needs. So when it comes to this this matchup, typically if you can outnumber your enemy by a sufficient amount and focus down their boats like we're seeing him do, StrikeR's actually in a pretty decent position here. You can see him slowly beginning to focus down those ships. But oh no, look at that. It's a bit of a tide turning happening on the Boulder Bay as the 7 Lodger attack ships for StrikeR actually get taken out by the 6 attack ships from Leenock. So it's one of those things where unless you've got a super critical mass of boats, it's gonna be a struggle. It's gonna be a struggle.
And one thing that Leenock has going for him is a blacksmith. He's just now finishing Steeled Arrow, and that is going to give a massive power spike to him. Having a slightly better attack on those combat ships. Numbers, as he said, are quite even, but having that extra attack is going to be a massive advantage for him. Meanwhile, on the other side, StrikeR is dropping the blacksmith just now, so he will be a tiny bit delayed, but unless Leenock attacks him, it isn't really going to matter. Neither of the players are fishing at all, though, so despite the fact that they're fighting for the water, they're just fighting so that the opponent cannot fish. They're not really fighting so that they themselves can fish at this point.
Yeah, it's about the right to fish. You know, it's not necessarily about the fishing itself. We see that a lot in common geopolitics as well. I'm not going to get into it, but there's a lot of seas that people fight over. But speaking of seas to be fought over, 11 attack ships now coming out versus 8. I feel like Leenock is bullying StrikeR despite having a significantly smaller force. Obviously, behind this, StrikeR is going for his +1, and he wants to try and avoid fighting until then. But my sneaking suspicion is that once StrikeR does get that +1, he's going to look to pick a fight, and when he does, he's going to absolutely destroy his opponent.
Third dog now coming in here for Leenock, so he's going to have a chance to once again catch up in ship numbers and potentially even overtake his opponent. And you gotta love how StrikeR is using that scout he has. He wants to see if his opponent is doing something, because, well, there could be nasty surprises coming his way.
Yeah, there's a lot of nasty surprises to potentially come his way. And speaking of coming his way, on Boulder Bay, it seems like the only thing that he's going to be getting is a hot meat breakfast, because look at this right here. We have got ourselves a little bit of fancy fun as the attack ships follow the attack ships up towards the northern side of the docks, Lidakor. I mean, he's actually looking like he's got a pretty decent number on him here.
Yeah, he's got the critical mass, because Leenock dropped the third dog, but he wasn't able to capitalize on it just yet, and now the newly built ships will just spawn into a lot of arrow fire. But once again, you got the healing ability of those dogs, and StrikeR is also losing his numbers, and it's getting more and more difficult for him to focus down the opponent's ships. And the lower the amount of ships you have for StrikeR, the more difficult it is to compensate for that healing ability of the dogs over there.
Yeah, 4 ships now coming out for Leenock. Looks like he's going to be losing 1, but keep in mind, as you mentioned, that healing ability going to be coming through. And now 5 ships for StrikeR. Going to be losing, getting picked off, and now we're at even numbers. It's going out one by one. I'm having a lot of graphical errors on my screen right now. I'm not sure exactly what's triggering this. I think it seems to be the Rus water that is triggering this. But yeah, you can see that they're really fighting to the death at this point. I mean, I don't know what else there is to say. I mean, we could talk... Do you want to talk about the economies of these two players and where they're at, Lidakor?
No, I just want to finish this game and go into game number 3.
Me too. All right. I think we turn this... Like, how do we sell this as, like, not a boring Boulder Bay game? I mean, I've done my best. I've drawn dicks everywhere. My screen was looking like an encyclopedia for dicks at one point. But, I mean, it's all clean now.
Yeah, that's for sure, but you're the hype caster, so you should be the one shouting, "Oh, what a great fight! Oh, boom, ship goes down left, ship goes down right," because that's everything that happens in this entire game.
Yep, that's fair. I guess this serves as a great, you know, hopefully Nilly watches this, or, I mean, I'm sure Nilly is watching this, and he's like, you know what, we're just going to ban Boulder Bay. You know what, just don't bother with Boulder Bay. We'll just get rid of it. Oh, gosh. You know, one of the things that a friend of mine said from Age of Empires 3. Now, Lidakor, I know you played a lot of Age of Empires 3, but for those who didn't, I just want to talk a little bit about the way water works in that map. So here on this map, you can see that obviously with this large lake in the middle, you've got water being incredibly impactful. If you fail to neutralize the water, if you fail to obtain the water, then you're going to be under constant bombardment, constant harassment, because your shoreline is exposed. In Age of Empires 3, typically the way that the water works is it's only really on one side of the map. It doesn't play an overly large role in the maps, and you only ever see it in, I'd say, maybe about, 20 to 30% of water games is water actually, or water maps, is water actually used. We don't actually have any map that is similar to that. In Age of Empires 4, water, where it exists on maps, it seems to be pivotal. It's in every single map. So think of Confluence as an example. It's a big giant cross. Think of Boulder Bay. It's a giant bay in the middle. Think of Danube River. It is, a river that runs right around the middle, looping back around. Every single water map, it seems to me that water just tries to force itself into the middle. Well, you know what I say to the developers? I say, developers, heed my warning. Rus mirrors aren't fun, especially not on water maps. Let's move water over to the side. Let's have like a whole bunch of land in the middle of the map. Give it like land 80% and water like 20%, and just push it out to the side, because otherwise we're going to have Rus mirrors like this.
Gotta love how StrikeR plays that scout and that stealth for it. That is just immensely valuable for him, because he knows exactly the numbers that Leenock has. He knows exactly if a new dock is being added, and that information is crucial at this point, as he once again dives in for an assault.
Yeah, yeah. That is a good scout. But now it looks like Leenock manages to force back StrikeR once again. StrikeR sitting on 10 attack ships. He's picked up the +1 upgrade for the range. On the other side of the map, it doesn't look like Leenock's actually picked that one up. Oh, I take it back. No, he has. He's taken it. He's picked it up. Doesn't have +1 defense, though. Neither player with +1 defense. I mean, +1 defense makes a lot of difference when it comes to these ships.
And at this point, whoever breaks that status quo could potentially win the game here, and StrikeR has his intentions of doing that. He's adding a knight from a stable, and really, at this point, there is just no defense for either of these players back at home, so 1 or 2 knights can do a tremendous amount of damage. Idle the gold miners or the lumberjacks, and suddenly, you can swing the water battle in your favor. You have to break this stalemate somehow, and you won't be able to do it just by brute forcing ships at this point.
Yep. I'm literally like at this point in the game, I'm just sitting here, I'm just drawing dicks on my screen. Like this is Boulder Bay Rus mirrors. I'm losing it at this point. Okay. Oh, I didn't even hear what you said, Lidakor. I'm sorry, I was too busy drawing dicks. Oh gosh. Okay, we're back. This is probably the most immature cast I've ever had. But I mean, it goes to say a lot about the way that Boulder Bay is at the moment with the Rus. You know, we used to get to that point where we would talk about the way that there was a rock, paper, scissors. I'm sure you remember that. You had the Rus, which were your rock. You have the Holy Roman Empire, which were your paper. And you had your scissors, which were the French. And they'd all sort of counter each other in their own special ways. But it's gotten to the point where the Rus are so dominant that there's really nothing you can do about it now. And there's no rock, paper, scissors. You've just got dynamite.
Well, I was about to ask you, don't you enjoy just rock instead of rock, paper, scissors?
Oh yeah, it's so much fun, especially when the rocks are being thrown by the Rus players, and they're being thrown into my house. I can't stand you Rus players, but take a look. We got ourselves a bit of a battle here in the middle of the map. This is quite a large battle. I'm going to do my best to commentate this. I'm going to try and spice things up. You're going to get yourselves a John Madden voice, all right? And I'm going to do like an overlay as well. So let's try them. Here we go. Okay. All right. Lidakor, I'm not sure how much this is going to work for you, but I'm going to try and do this in real time. Okay. They're not fighting.
Yeah, they're not fighting. Yeah, I was waiting for your real-time commentary, but there is none.
Yeah, I'm thinking I might get to the point where like I might even pause it. I think you can actually pause it. John Madden, you know who John Madden is, right?
Of course I know John Madden. I live and die with NFL. Like, I of course know who John Madden is.
Okay. That's great. So he like pauses it and he's like, "All right, fellas, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna take it down a little bit." Actually, that's not John. That's Lee from NBC.
No,
or from
that's John. That's John.
That was John. All right, fellas, here we go. So this is what's gonna happen. There's gonna be a whole bunch of units that are coming in here, and they're looking to do lots of damage. So what's gonna happen is the enemy. Oh Lord, let's move. So the enemy is going to come in here like this and bring in his large formation and try and take out his enemy shooting off. And you can see now as we come across the screen, he's doing a great job of it, spinning to win despite not even playing the French. At the same time, up towards the northern position, we can see he's attempting to use this water forest, not having a whole lot of luck. And it looks like StrikeR completely overwhelms his opponent. And it is just a big D in the face of his enemy. Good game, probably going over to StrikeR any second, I suspect.
Yeah, that was a very, very good Madden impersonation, if I may say so. And indeed, Leenock is just getting pushed back on the water. You played 18 minutes to die like this, one might ask.
To everybody who's watching this game on YouTube and they're watching it the whole way through, I just want to apologize to you guys because it's probably one of the worst. Look, I'm not going to say it's one of the worst games that we've seen, but I think that, like, as a caster, Lidakor, I'm assuming that you probably feel the same. It's just gotten to the point where Boulder Bay Rus mirrors are just not fun anymore.
No, it's
just not fun anymore.
I'm supposed to be the analyst over here, but there is nothing to analyze.
Yeah. I mean, StrikeR had more boats than his enemy, and then he won. That's essentially it. He also did a bit of spinning in there.
Do you know what the best part is? Or which the best part of this game was?
The ending. Definitely.
Yeah, exactly my thoughts.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
All right.
Oh, man.
StrikeR got his win over here, at least.
I was literally just drawing. Oh, man. I'm not even going to analyze like the post game of that. I was having too much fun. All right, who's up for the next Boulder Bay mirror?
Awkward silence.
That's my Homer Simpson right there. I just drew Homer Simpson. All right, hopefully they remove Boulder Bay from the game. Hopefully they remove Boulder Bay from the map pool.
From the entire game. Well, at least we've gotten through the worst part.
Yeah, so that's going to take StrikeR up to 1 point. So he's managed to equalize it. We're going to pretend that we didn't see that game. All right, Lidakor?
Yeah, I wish I didn't see that, but at least now we're going to have fun games. And I have some news for you. Because at least your songwriting efforts have played dividends. Leenock, the one and only.
No way.
He's speaking Chinese. The civ for StrikeR will be English. We don't know the map, but it is going to be either King of the Hill, Altai, or Highview. But who cares when you have Chinese, right?
Yeah. So King of the Hill or Altai? It's probably going to be Altai. I've seen Leenock pick Chinese into English on this map before. He's confident with it. We've seen players like I've seen Lucifron do it. I've seen Vortex do it. It can definitely work. The idea is that you want to wall up. You want to delay your enemy from pushing you in, punishing you, and then get up that second town center. Try and get up to the castle age, and then start getting out those, those siege units that go pew pew. You want to get those units.
Yeah, pew pew units are generally good in Age of Empires games. Now, looking at the stats of Chinese, there were actually 9 Chinese picks in the entire N4C Qualifiers last weekend. But obviously, most of those voted in the early rounds. Currently, they have a very underwhelming 22.22% win rate. 2 out of 9 games were won. Not a single time that Chinese mirrors were utilized. The only civilization that did not have a single mirror in the first N4C Qualifier weekend.
Yeah, number of contributing factors to that. Obviously, their late game has been nerfed significantly with the fact that the astronomical clock tower no longer can be supervised. That's a big factor. The supervisors have also been nerfed in addition to that. So, yeah, I mean, they're not looking pretty at the moment. It just honestly, it just feels bad to play China. Like that is essentially it. They've got so many bugs. It just and so many macro mechanics. It's just like, why would I play China when I can just play the Delhi? I get my upgrades for free. Hell yeah, brother.
Indeed, like the Chinese are meant to do something very similar to the Delhi, supervise their production buildings for better production, but the Delhi can garrison the scholar, so there is no risk of losing it. Technologies are free, and you can just have a very powerful economy just by right-clicking the berries, whereas for the Chinese, you have to constantly babysit those tax collectors, supervise your buildings, make sure you don't lose them, and also not forget the fact that currently the supervising has a smaller effect than it's intended to have.
Yeah, a bit strange. Yeah, it's. I think that China definitely need to be looked at. They seem somewhat complicated. I know you and I both have a soft spot in our hearts for China. I remember when Age of Empires 4 came out, you did a huge video on the Imperial official and all the inner workings of it. But it just seems to be very complicated, very complex, difficult to micro, not rewarding enough, and it's just complicated by bugs even further. So yeah, hopefully it's something that gets looked at.
All right, we got a minute and a half left to go for the next game. I'm going to take a half-minute break to grab something to drink for myself as well. So I guess this is your window for the yogurt-related discussion, something that we have been missing from this cast so far.
Yes, we have indeed. So I will look after the yogurt, you look after everything else. When it comes to yogurt, you got a lot of different choices that you can make. Personally, I'm a big fan of the yogurts that don't actually have anything extra in them. And I know that might sound a little bit weird, but I want to talk to you guys about what I mean by that. If you get yourself like a blueberry yogurt, right? You don't want the ones that have got the blueberry in them. You just want the ones that have got the blueberry sauce in them, because that's going to improve the taste of the yogurt, improve the texture slightly, but you're not going to have those annoying little parts that get stuck in your teeth. That's just my 2 cents. I know you didn't ask for it, but I'm here. I'm providing it. So that's what I would say. And of course, you just got to go with like the Greek yogurt. You can't go with any other yogurt. There's no other thing. looking for Timmy coming in with the Prime Gaming, obviously very excited. Must have found Timmy and is now looking for some yogurt advice. So he's come to the right place. Welcome, welcome. But we're about to get this started. 3 seconds to go. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to take you in. Lidakor, I'm assuming, is still getting his body waxed. I'm Lidakor, I'm not sure if you're still there. I'm just going to restart my game. I think Lidakor's gone. Lidakor's gone. You guys probably weren't noticing it, but there was a whole bunch of like lag that was happening in my game, and I fucking can't stand that. It's so distracting to me.
Hello.
Greek yogurt. Oh, hey. I'm just restarting my game. Apologies. I had a game earlier tonight that I was casting with Nilly, and it was lagging like crazy, and it was driving me fucking crazy. I couldn't do it. So I was having it then, so I'm just going to restart my game. Hopefully that fixes it.
Yeah, let's hope that as well. We do have Altai as the map though, so Chinese, not so out of the box as it would be on some other maps. In fact, before the actual patch that broke the civilization, Chinese was a pretty popular pick over here, whereas on the other side, you do have the English for StrikeR, which is just the absolute textbook meta civ of Altai.
Alright, just give me a second. I'm slowly coming back in. Alright, are you just continuing on with the game? What second are you at the moment?
I caught up with the live feed, and I think that's the best thing to do, because it's just Dark Age, so we're not missing anything. We're just 1 minute into the game after the spec delay.
Right. I'll do the same thing. Give me a second here. Alright. Hopefully that lag goes away. That's really annoying when that happens. I don't know how to stop that. Okay, I am in. I am here. Alright, I'm going to introduce it for YouTube, even though we're still a little bit delayed. G'day, fellas, and welcome to a casted game. Spawning in up on the north side, we've got a Leenock playing in the blue on the Chinese, and his opponent on the opposite side of the map, we've got StrikeR playing as the English in the color red. Now, I apologize before we get into this game. These games are happening live. We've missed a little bit of the Dark Age, but Lidakor's kept everybody warm, so don't be too worried. Hopefully the issues that we were having have all been sorted out, but Lidakor, talk to me a little bit. How do you expect this map to go? This is Altai, of course. 2 civilizations that we somewhat expected on this map.
It is indeed 2 expected civilizations, but because Chinese are so rarely used nowadays, they're a bit of an out-of-the-box selection, or almost a wild card, where StrikeR can't really expect a lot of things in advance from Leenock. He needs to really scout his opponent and see what he's doing, because he can't just preemptively prepare for a certain strategy. If you were playing on English Mirror, if you were playing any other civilization, like French, whatsoever, you would have a good idea of what your opponent wants to do. But against the Chinese, that's not so true over here. You can probably think about Song Dynasty, Chinese boom, but because, as you said, there were quite a lot of changes to Chinese in the previous patch, and we haven't really seen this civilization in tournaments, it's a bit of a wild card to see what Chinese will do, and you will have to just adapt your game plan according to what Leenock does, so Leenock has that upper hand.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. And I think in this matchup, on this map in particular, China definitely has the upper hand. Previously, before this patch, we did see China as a very heavily picked civilization on this map. And we actually see Leenock going for 2 villages on the gold mine up towards the north of his base. This to me indicates that it's highly likely that we're going to see Leenock going for a fast Song Dynasty. But we'll see how he plays it out, because you don't need to go for gold as the Chinese. It's only if you're going for a fast Song Dynasty that you would ever need it. But take a look at the beautiful spawn that Leenock has actually been handed today. It is a spawn from God itself.
The heavens.
He has got, I mean, this is beautiful. He's got 2 front wood lines, very easily going to be able to wall that in. And then over past that wood line, he's got a little bit of a ridge line. And all of a sudden, he can wall all the way across there. Probably going to cost him 40 wood at most. And that's it. That's it. All the rest of his base is covered by that single Barbican. He is in incredibly good shape.
Exactly, and that Barbican of the Sun is immensely valuable on the left side. It's protecting his mill, and the mill also has the deer nearby. So not only are you supervising it for the sheep, you're also supervising that for the deer. As you said, forests on the front will mean that it's rather easy for him to wall. And if he does that, he's going to have his gold mine secure as well. One of his villagers was exposed to the scout of StrikeR, but really, StrikeR won't be able to pick it up. Already out with 2 Imperial officers though, so he's very heavy on the supervising department, and was also quite heavy collecting tax. he actually started mining gold, which is not something that you always do with Chinese, especially now that StrikeR comes in. With a second scout, he might just pull that last villager away from gold.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a smart move. And interestingly, Leenock going for a stable very early here, keeping it nice and safe as well. Take a look where he's dropped it down, completely in a dark spot. StrikeR's going to have no idea that this is coming out. And that can sort of be a little bit of a scary thing for StrikeR to do, because it's highly unlikely that StrikeR's going to be opening with a barracks. I'll check over in his base and see what we've got. It doesn't look like he's going to be going for that. So just opening up with some longbows from the council hall. No real surprise there. But he could be taken by surprise. Not going to be the case. Stable gets spotted. So the shenanigans are up. StrikeR immediately going to be responding with a barracks. I would hope. We'll take a look and see what he does. Cancelling. Yeah, no longbows in queue. Barracks being dropped immediately. So StrikeR not skipping a beat. He knows exactly what is up.
Indeed, but that is the importance of that scouting we talked about, that he couldn't just preemptively go for barracks like as if he was playing against the French. He had to scout what his opponent is up to, because Chinese delivered that versatility out there. They went for a couple of horsemen, but it's notable that Leenock isn't pursuing any more horsemen for now, so this is really just so that he can stop those first couple of longbows coming forward, and I wouldn't be surprised to see an archer range being dropped rather soon, and just supervise it for decent archer numbers, play archers, horsemen, and then probably, as I said, go for Song Dynasty, because he's still mining gold, which is a sign that Song Dynasty is getting near.
Yeah, and this is where it really becomes one of those things where the shoe... Well, I don't know exactly how to say it, but the burden is upon the English player to make moves. He's got to make moves. He's got to make something happen. He's got to think outside the box, because when that dynasty does come down, that's going to mean that Leenock is producing villages much faster than the standard civilization. And as a result, it means that he's going to be building up that economy sooner, faster. And now we indeed do see that Imperial Academy going down. StrikeR will recognize this. He will know that his enemy is also going for an archery range, is looking to focus on his economy. And as a result, I need to start making moves. He's got to start making mogul moves out here or something, Lidakor, because otherwise it's just not going to work.
Yeah, he has multiple options. He can go very aggressive in Feudal Age with spears and longbows, but he can also think about Castle Age, because one thing that he could do to sort of avoid falling behind an eco is just going for a Castle Age with the King's Palace. And if he stops making army, because he's anticipating Leenock not to attack, then he can get to a pretty decent Castle Age timing and just go for that second town center himself. He's got a beautiful ridge to work with, left of Leenock's base. That's the perfect place to drop that scout at. Just beautifully overlooking the entire valley area, seeing the eco and, of course, the production buildings as well.
Yes, this is very, very nice. I love the positioning on this. It makes a lot of sense. But yeah, I'd be curious to see what direction StrikeR does go for. We see he's actually walling up. But honestly, if I was StrikeR in this position, I mean, I would probably be thinking about getting up to Castle Age as quickly as possible. But it doesn't seem like he's doing that. Adding in a second lumber camp now. He's got 15 villages on wood. So he is definitely focusing on production at this point in time.
And that is, I think, the more dangerous approach here, because the Chinese can catch up so fast with military numbers because they can just supervise their production buildings. The flexibility they have is just insane. And because of that, even though StrikeR does have a decent force now, the moment Leenock scouts this, which just happened right now, he's going to start popping out, actually not even archers, but the Zhugenu and horsemen, and with the help of the Barbican of the Sun, some walls up north, this is going to be very difficult for StrikeR to push, and it's already Song Dynasty, so you already have the villager production advantage, you already have the tax income advantage as well, and that Imperial Academy is also affecting the wood line, or the lumber camp, the mill, and all the production buildings, so this is a perfectly paced academy as well for Leenock.
Yeah, this is actually really, really nice. Now that you mention it, yeah, he's managed to hit everything. So very, very good placement there. But yeah, unfortunately, that lumber camp now no longer going to be of use because he has moved on to the second one. He's placed that one down a little bit further out, but very nice. But yeah, going now for the Chokunu as well as the horseman. So a very nice composition. Obviously, this is going to get scouted out completely by StrikeR's man on the hill or woman on the hill. Let's listen. What does her voice say? It's the woman on the hill. She's up there. She's scouting. She's letting her Strelbora know exactly what is going to be happening this game.
And StrikeR didn't see the Barbican of the Sun up until now. He wanted to drop a tower a lot closer, and he just decided to place it elsewhere upon seeing that Barbican of the Sun is like, okay, what do I do now? And we've talked about those wood lines being both on the front, helping with the walling, but it's also true that once those are exposed, there is no backup forest to chop. For Leenock, he's starting to add farms right now, but he might soon have to fight for his wood lines.
Yeah, a bit of a mistake coming in here from StrikeR. Villager going to be going down to a wolf, so this wolf was animation cancelling, so it there will be repercussions for the wolf, but unfortunately, despite that, going to be taking out that villager. So first villager loss of the game, going over to the Gaia. Not the first time that we've seen that, and it definitely won't be the last.
Indeed, and StrikeR could chop through the forest. We have seen that multiple times before. Chop down the tree and just run past the walls. Siege Engineering is coming in for StrikeR, so he will be able to go for rams, but the best move that StrikeR could make is just chop down the tree and then run past that blue wall straight into the base of the opponent.
Yeah, it's a bit of a big brain move. We'll see if he works it out. He's got 2 villagers here just chopping on the front line. They've got no lumber camp nearby. If they do get 10 wood inside, they're not going to be able to do any more chopping. And it does look like one of those villagers heading up to 10 wood. Second villager on 5 at the moment.
He's chopping down the entire forest. He's chopping straight through, not by the wall. Meanwhile, Horseman ready to counterattack as StrikeR went to go for stone.
Oh! He's doing it. Oh my lord, no way he's doing that. You can see he's having a bit of trouble. He needs to drop a lumber camp because he's just losing so much efficiency with this second villager. He's actually going through the wall. This has happened before in history, right? I feel like this is a Mexican cartel tunneling through the forest to get their longbows through to the enemy base.
And that is very difficult to defend against because walling off these chop-throughs are very difficult in general. Leenock was doing a great job intercepting the reinforcements, and he also potentially prevented StrikeR from starting to mine stone. StrikeR wanted to build a mining camp towards stone, but changed his mind after he saw the horseman. And there's a second ram coming in. Looking at Leenock's vision, he's got no idea, and it's starting to become worrisome for him. He probably knows the army is there, but he has no idea what's coming his way.
It looks like StrikeR may have given up on his idea. It was definitely something he was thinking about. You can see he actually chopped down 3 trees. He got 3 trees deep, and now he's just kind of like, we'll work it out later. But the force of Leenock now getting significantly large. Have a look at the amount of Chokunu he's got back here. It is a huge amount, 20 Chokunu. He's got the +1 ranged attack in as well, so he's going to be doing that extra 3 damage at this stage. And going up against the longbows and the spears, these guys are yet to have their +1 range armor in, and that's going to hurt a lot. Typically, you need to be having that before you fight, so we'll have to hope that StrikeR doesn't look to pick a fight before that upgrade comes through.
It looks like he's splitting his forces. He's trying to push with the longbows from the north. Rams are jumping on the Barbican of the Sun. No response so far from Leenock. Instead, he's sending all the horsemen back, trying to intercept reinforcements. He might try to sandwich this force from 2 directions in a second.
Yeah, it looks like that's exactly what he's going to do. You can have a look at the horsemen that are back here in this position. I think he might be looking to pick up reinforcements, and that's exactly what he's going to do. A longbow going to be going down there, so no more reinforcements coming through for StrikeR at this point. But the Chokunu are going to be doing their best to defend here. Barbican of the Sun going to be trying to hold on for dear life, but unfortunately down to less than 40% health at this point.
Horsemen are here to save the day, and the spearmen are slightly mispositioned. You see, StrikeR is hiding them in the stealth forest, wants to jump on the horsemen, and Leenock was unaware of that, so this comes as a nasty surprise, but the Rams won't be able to take down the Barbican of the Sun here to start with. And as you said, the Jugenu numbers are just high here, very high, in fact, for Leenock. In general, his army is just gigantic.
Yeah, it's an absolutely massive army at this point. Going to completely overwhelm his opponent. You see the spears here outnumbered massively by the horsemen. Ideally, you'd want to have 1 for 1, and it definitely doesn't seem like he's got those numbers. Chokunu getting right in on top of his opponent. StrikeR here does manage to get the +1 upgrade through as those horsemen. Just look at the micro coming out right now from Leenock. Beautiful stuff. As his enemy continues to try and retreat, we see that he brings up these new units, reinforces that existing position, and you can see the way that he's coming through, just ignoring the spears of his opponent and just focusing down, firing upon or stabbing these spears. And a massive win right there for Leenock.
That is a gigantic win, especially because we talked about this. Leenock already has the economy advantage, and now he has the army advantage. He's going to force his opponent off from stone. StrikeR wanted to mine stone potentially for a second town center, but that's not going to be a reality. He only mined 95 stone. And now, dealing with all those Jugenu in Feudal Age is quite difficult, because what can StrikeR do against that? His longbows won't work that well. He doesn't have a single horseman coming out, and the longer the game goes, the better it is for a Chinese player, because at this point we could even see Leenock think about the second town center.
Yeah, well, the big thing to me is, okay, so you've had this massive victory in Age 2, in the Dark Age. What do you do? How do you convert that into an actual victory? And there's a number of ways that you can do it, but my favorite way, and the best way I think he can do that, is look to get up to Age 3 as quickly as possible, look to get these upgrades in for the Chokunu, potentially look at getting +2, obviously get the veterancy in. I'm a bit worried, though, because he is overextending at this point. We can see that Leenock now heading in towards this stealth forest, obviously going to be able to evade his enemy for a short amount of time. And we see that StrikeR was heading in to chase him, but subsequently Leenock's realized that there's no way for him to get out. But yeah, StrikeR having a bit of a tough time here.
And StrikeR is going to lose a couple of villagers to this Jugenu, so the moment you realize you can't save that army, you just focus down villagers with them, and you see that the value that he's getting out of these is really good. Killed a couple of villagers, taking down spearmen, and behind this one, he's up to Castle Age with the clock tower, so at this point, he can afford to lose this army, because he knows that he's able to focus down the spearmen, and I would be very surprised not to see Lancers coming out in a second with all those spearmen being focused down.
Yeah, I think this is a good game. I don't think there's any way that he can really win this. I actually watched a game early on in the tournament in the same bracket as this. It was Soldier who was playing up against Fitzy here. And we saw Soldier in a very similar position to what Leenock was in right now, where he had an overwhelming victory in the feudal age. The problem was he didn't convert it. He overextended, he lost his army, and he lost the game. Leenock, on the other hand, he has somewhat converted that. Now, he definitely threw away a fair bit of his army, but the question is as to whether he wanted to even use that army anymore. He has, however, invested those extra resources, that extra time that he's had. He's gone up to the third age, and you can see that now he's beginning to add in those armored units. The Palace Guards beginning to come out. Have we got any Lancers just yet?
Nope, it looks like he's going full Palace Guard. He's probably a little too concerned about the Spearman. He also had the second town center, though, and now he's at 65 villas over 40, so he isn't really even in the direct need to add a lot of army, because, as you said, it's all about how you convert your already existing advantage into something even bigger, and just expanding that economy is going to be sufficient for that. StrikeR is not far away from Castle Age, but he's gonna get pushed by Palace Guards, and he has no direct answer to those.
Yeah, Palace Guards are going to be incredibly difficult to stop here. The big thing is with the Palace Guards, they've obviously got a bit of a faster movement speed, lower armor, but against the English, that works out especially well, just simply because the English longbows have lower speed than typical archers, so it means that it's much harder for them to kite. So the interaction works very well, especially on a map like this. So Leenock going to be coming in now and looking to punish his opponent. There's a lot of horsemen down here, but he's found the economy of his opponent, and now StrikeR under significant stress as the villagers head towards the town center. You can see them evacuating the dance floor. Longbows getting in amongst the mix as well, but going to be losing those, and you can see the armor on these Palace Guards. They're barely taking any damage from these longbows, and looks like StrikeR is going to tap out of this game. Leenock takes the third game in the series and heads up to 2-1. Nice little lead for him.
And he wins that with Chinese. That's the spectacular point of this entire thing. Very clean gameplay from him, and he has shown that Chinese is a very appealing civilization, even with its bugs in. Imagine what this civilization could do if it wasn't bugged, because the term that you associate with Chinese is versatility. If your opponent isn't pushing you, you don't make a single unit, but if you feel like, oh shoot, I'm behind in army numbers, you can supervise the production buildings and pump out a lot of army really fast, and you can supervise it anytime you want, so it's even more flexible to a certain extent than the Delhi is. And then, of course, the Song Dynasty, these components, like supervising the tax gold income, Song Dynasty, second town center, it's just a matter of which order you mix these in, and what's the order of these being selected one after another, basically.
Yeah, I agree exactly. It's all about the order that you place those in, but Leenock doing it in perfect style, getting up into the castle age, securing victory with those armored units. So if you're watching this on YouTube, hopefully you enjoyed the third game a little bit more than the second game, but make sure you check out the next video that's coming up, because that is going to be the fourth game in this series, and we could potentially see Leenock head towards match point.
It's funny that you say that, you know, you hope that people enjoyed playing or watching game number 3 over game number 2, because I think I probably even would have enjoyed watching Pain try over game number 2.
Yeah. I actually, my neighbor, he's just installed like he's just laid a whole bunch of grass. During that game, I was watching it grow. Interestingly, it didn't grow that much, but it was a lot more interesting than the game we watched.
Alright, so we're once again heading back to the home map of StrikeR here. Lipany and Hillandale are the options. Let me look up if we have civilizations or not already. And the answer is that we do. Another mirror coming in here, but this time around, it's Delhi
Delhi.
time.
Yeah, I can smell it. I can smell Delhi mirrors a mile away.
I can only smell fried chicken, but that's probably because my neighbor is cooking lunch.
I'm assuming it's Hillandale?
I don't have any information on that, but yeah, although Lipany could make a lot of sense. Like, if you think about Hillandale as an HRE map, you could justify
Yeah.
Lipany being the Delhi map. But then the question becomes, what's your Mongols map? Highview?
Yeah, I guess, yeah. Makes sense. Oh, I accidentally just invited Leenock to a group.
I accidentally invited StrikeR. No, like, originally I was like, okay, you gotta right-click, like, for the viewers that don't know what's happening,
Yeah.
we have to right-click the player names in our friend list and then press observe, and that's always the top option. And when the name shows up as in-game, we just do it by reflex. But sometimes the observe button doesn't show up, and then the top button is going to be invite to party. And it's actually very funny that Drongo just invited Leenock because I've been accessing the games through StrikeR, and I just did the exact same thing to StrikeR. But no harm done. Countdown going on now. It is Delhi Mirrors. We don't know the map yet. It could either be Hillandale or Lipany. If you were in the position of StrikeR, which would you pick?
I feel more comfortable on Hillandale. It's tough though, isn't it? It really is. I mean, there's a couple different ways that you can play it, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like Delhi on Hillandale is just such a difficult civ to beat. They've got all the tools that you could possibly want to win games on that map. It's just it's so difficult to defeat them. So yeah, I'd probably go Hillandale. How about you?
Interesting. I would actually go for Lipany. I know it sounds weird, but this was a slower paced map. So my perspective on this is that Altai was a slower paced map, and you could see that Leenock had a pretty decent success with it with the Chinese. Of course, it was a little bit of an out-of-the-box civilization selection, but if I was StrikeR, I might try to go for a more open map after having a slightly slower paced one like Altai. But as you said, Hillandale makes a lot of sense, especially if he doesn't feel confident on more open maps. But I think that after losing a slightly slower paced map like Altai, he probably wants to change up his approach and go for a more open map and then save Hillandale as the last one. Hillandale, as you said, is also a safe map, so it could very be a great last-ditch option if you need to play your own last home map.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Yeah, HRE also pretty good on that map. Oh, somebody just told me that in chat, yeah, I am Kitty Z has just messaged me saying it is Hillandale. Your overlay has updated, so I've got like this overlay and it passes the game file, and so that game file obviously has already been passed. So yeah, we've got Delhi Sultanate for both players, and Hillandale is the map.
Delhi on Hillandale. We have seen that more and more because Delhi is sort of the response in many ways to the Holy Roman Empire. The HRE is the meta pick, but the Delhi can just do so well with the feudal age aggression that they can just limit the access to relics. It might be the single best civilization that's the best when it comes to limiting HRE in its access to relics. So it's sort of that situation where you're just picking Delhi because if your opponent picks HRE, you have like half of a victory already. So everybody picks Delhi, anticipating the opponent going for HRE.
Yeah, that could be it. That's not a bad call. I could see that. I think it's just become one of those things where people kind of just expect. I think that's sort of how the Rus meta evolved on Boulder Bay as well, because as I mentioned, you have that like the rock paper scissors system, and then it just sort of falls into one civilization because people are just going to be expecting HRE, I think, and then so it's like or expecting French, so it just becomes more common to go for the Rus, and I think that might be the case here.
Yep, exactly. We have 1 minute left to go. If Leenock wins this one, Lipany would be the last home map of StrikeR, which would be an open map. We've only seen one open map being played so far. That was Arabia, and that was won by Leenock. So StrikeR sort of needs to win this one. Otherwise, he's going to be in a tough spot because I don't think that he would go into game number 4 or excuse me, game number 5, as a favorite if it was Lipony. So this is almost a must-win over here for StrikeR, but it's going to be tough in a Mirror Civilization matchup. The previous Mirror, he won though. He won on Boulder Bay with the Rus. So far he's 1-0 in the Mirror matchups.
Yeah, hasn't done well. People typically don't like mirror matchups. I think if there's one mirror matchup that I would want to watch, it would be a French mirror. But a Delhi mirror isn't a bad consolation, especially on Hill and Dale. I think it is a matchup that you can sort of feel a little bit better about. There's going to be a little more action out on the field. Obviously, players being promoted to get out there just simply because there are sacred sites. So, I'm looking forward to it.
With that being said, we're jumping into game number 4 here. Must win for StrikeR. We're going to his home map, Hill and Dale. Take us away.
All right, we got a second to go. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. It is time. G'day, fellas, and welcome to a casted game. Spawning in on the west side of the map, which is the best side of the map, we've got Leenock, who is playing as the Delhi in the color blue. And on the opposite side of the map, who have we got over here, Lidakor?
We do have a StrikeR playing as the red Delhi as well. You always confuse me with those words, east to west, you know. I'm a simple person. I'm always like left, right, east, west. You gotta just figure out which side is which. And
yes,
that's something I have troubles with in some cases.
I apologize. I'll go left and right next time. The left side of the map, the right side of the map, all that good stuff. But yes, where I'm from, the west side, we know the west side as the best side. And so that's why I introduce it that way. But speaking of introducing it that way, we've got a little bit of variation in build orders coming through. Leenock with a little bit of a delay on his mosque. This is, of course, a Delhi mirror. We're on Hill and Dale. I think when you think of Delhi mirrors, you probably do think of Hill and Dale. I don't know about you, but I get excited when I see Delhi coming out on Hill and Dale. This is a map which has got 3 sacred sites. So typically you're going to be expecting people to get out on the map, get out there and fight. And the Delhi, obviously, a civilization, which is going to be doing that. So looking forward to seeing how it unfolds.
Looking at the start here for StrikeR, he has queued up Efficient Production as his first upgrade. That's always the upgrade that you prioritize in Dark Age. And after that, you usually go for Piety if you want to go out for the sacred sites. So it's a little surprising that Herbal Medicine is the thing that he queues up after, because when you get to Feudal, you want to switch to Sanctity, but you want to get as much of Piety done as possible, so you have a higher survivability for your monks. So we'll have to see what Leenock does over here, and indeed, he's going to open with Piety after Efficient Production, and he's just going to delay Piety until he grabs Sanctity once he starts in Feudal Age.
Now, I've got something small to mention. I don't know if it's a big deal. I mean, I'm going to say it's a pretty big deal. Take a look over at StrikeR's base and look what he's researching from the mill. First and foremost, we've got survival techniques coming out first and then going into wheelbarrow. So we could potentially see him usher in a couple of deer underneath over towards this mill. This mill is very close to his berries, so I wouldn't be surprised if you take a look at that. Survival Techniques has got 80 seconds on it before it's finished. I wouldn't be surprised if we see this scout come back in towards the base of StrikeR and he looks to push in these deer towards this mill.
Interesting idea. I'm not sure if it's overthinking or underthinking it, because the thing is that the berries will be very effective for the Delhi, so you gotta wonder, oh, I'm the one with the lag spikes now, so I might need to restart myself.
I'm getting the exact same thing. It's very frustrating.
Then it's probably just a connection thing between the players. It has to be. It's Korea versus Germany when it comes to nationalities, so they're probably playing some sort of South India or so server, and that could cause lag. But yeah, what I was trying to say is that I'm not sure if this is an overthinking of the situation, because the berries already are a very good source of food for the players. Whereas on the other side, the wheelbarrow that's being researched by Leenock is just a much more general purpose upgrade that's going to affect all the villagers. So we'll have to see if survival techniques actually pays off here for StrikeR or not.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he has actually gone and pushed any of those deers in towards the mill, but you're going to have survival techniques coming through in the next 10 seconds. He's got to be careful. He's over towards the town center of his opponent. You can see he's got the town center beginning to fire towards that scout now. And keep in mind there's 7 sheep behind there, so you want to be extra careful, because if you lose those sheep, then you're donating over them to your opponent. You're donating them over to your opponent, and that's a lot of food. That's 1750 food that could potentially swing.
And not only are you losing out on those, as you said, you are giving it to the opponent, so it hurts for 2 reasons. if you can bring those back, you would be benefiting from them. If you lose the scout that is being trailed by those sheep, you not only you are losing them yourself, you're also giving it to the opponent as the scouts pass each other. Looks like they do have a lot of connection issues because these lag spikes are very frequent.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of lag spikes. So in some of the earlier games that I was casting in the series, I think it was with Nilly as well, I was getting quite a few of them. I think it could just be to do with netcode, honestly. I found restarting my game can sometimes work and fix it. But yeah, the issue seems to be with Age of Empires 4 and the way that it transmits the data. So if there is a freeze, what it will do is it will speed the game up. So it gets you right back to that point. But the problem is, if there's a little bit of a lag in there, it's going to give you that freeze again, but then it speeds you back up. So it just keeps doing that over and over again. So if you're watching this on YouTube and you're wondering, why does it keep freezing? Why is it doing that? Unfortunately, it's something that we can't control. You can see those little freezes just keep coming in. It's getting to the point where it's unbearable. I don't know about you, but Lidakor,
Yeah,
I've got autism, and like for me, it's like nails on a chalkboard. I literally want to punch my monitor right now.
Yeah, it is frustrating for sure, especially because they're getting more and more frequent. We got Horseman coming in, though, from StrikeR, an Archer range being dropped by Leenock, so he's going to play Barracks range, whereas on the other side, it's going to be a straight Horseman build, and a second mill was dropped by StrikeR, so not only is he going to take the hunt, he's doing that with a second mill, so he's using that to research horticulture and even professional scouts after that, and the first mill is used for wheelbarrow.
Yeah, interesting to see that he's gone for that route. He really didn't need to add the second mill, especially so close to his first one. But yeah, interesting that he's going in for horticulture. Makes a lot of sense, though, when you think about it. He's going to be able to get in all of those upgrades extra fast. First of those horsemen running out across the map now, going to be connecting towards Leenock's base. Leenock on the other side is going for horticulture. Obviously, no survival techniques coming in for him at this stage. But I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see professional scouts come out. We did see it out for a little bit with the deli, but it looks like, look at the villagers deciding to get their daggers out, stabbing out that horseman. And that's just the consequence of being a horseman, my friend. You are not a Chad in the City of Knights. You are but a bear baiter, my friend. Look at that guy. Barely stabbing people with that thing. Get out of here. Villagers actually chasing him away. Look at those. Are you getting those spikes? Those spikes are massive right now.
Yeah, those spikes are gigantic. One thing that we could do is like pause at a given moment and just
to clarify, you're not talking about the spikes that are on the horseman, right? You're talking about the spikes of lag.
Yeah, I'm talking about the spike of lag. I mean, those are just as huge as the lances themselves.
Okay. All right. We're going to pause it at the exact same time. All right. Ready, Lidakor? 3, 2, 1, pause. All right. We're holding. We're holding. We're holding. You ready?
Yep.
Go. Oh, look at him speed, dude. Look at it go. Did you see? Mine are racing. Mine are racing around right now. Okay. They've just gotten... Do you see what I mean about, like, they speed up? All of that time that we were paused, the net code was like, this idiot's behind a few seconds. Let's move him forward. And then they literally play it in fast forward at like 96 times movement speed. That was wild.
Yeah, the thing is that the entire concept of pausing is that you don't want to be live with the feed. You just want to be 10 seconds behind, so you compensate for those lag spikes, but it looks like the game doesn't work that way. Now, one thing that StrikeR has, though, is a stable that has been buffed by a scholar for so long, and that means that he's got a fairly sizable force of horsemen out there, whereas for Leenock, he's got a mix of everything, archers, spearmen, and horsemen, but his numbers aren't necessarily that convincing.
Yeah, he's now beginning to push out towards his central sacred site. There is a single scholar that stands upon it. An outpost coming up behind it now. Scholar got to be careful. It's sitting up there with only 90 health points. Yet to get that piety upgrade up towards the north. Another scholar going to get picked up by a scout. If he's not careful, he's going to lose that one as well. Spearman doing a great job on the back of forcing back these horsemen. A single archer going to go down on top of the sacred site. But we can see the micro is really coming out from both of these players. They are dancing around like a couple tangoing upon a dance floor. It is a beautiful thing to see.
And the spearmen are just extremely impactful over here, because with the archers gone, suddenly 2 or 3 spearmen are swinging the battle in the favor of Leenock, and right now StrikeR is missing out on a unit that's capable of dealing with the spearman, and he's getting forced all the way back into his base. A key defeat in a crucial fight might actually lose him the game.
This is actually massive when you think about it, because all of the tempo from that now gets transitioned over to Leenock. He was holding out well, he was looking really good, and then just a few spears come in, they force back all of the cavalry from his opponent, and now it means he's going to be losing that sacred site. And not only does he lose that, he loses all of the pressure that he once held. It means that Leenock's able to head up towards the north, Leenock able to go down towards the south, and we see those scholars doing that right now. Multiple scholars out on the field, one scholar up towards the north. You hear that beautiful sound of the wolf attacking. I'll tell you what, Lidakor, I've had nightmares, and it has literally just been that sound playing on repeat. I have never been more... I've never been more repulsed by a sound than that sound. The wolf attacking me. Oh god, it's disgusting.
StrikeR lost the second scholar up north as well. He was trying to move out for the northern sacred site, but he just lost that. And now the spearmen will start walling in that sacred site. Gotta love that move from Leenock. And StrikeR still without the piety upgrade. And this is why I questioned at the beginning why he went for herbal medicine to start with. You want to get that piety done by the time you get to feudal age, because those scholars are quite precious, and 40 extra HP on them is nothing to be ashamed of.
Yeah, that's a massive difference, and often can be life-changing for a lot of these scholars. Typically, you know, found amongst the libraries, but the few who do hit the gym often find a lot of success when it comes out onto the battlefield, surviving up against those spears that we were talking about earlier.
And now one of the sacred sites is fallen, the other one is also under the control of Leenock, and he's sending out the scholar to the south. Currently, StrikeR controls no sacred sites, and you can see the difference in the gold income. It's already starting that snowball out there. And if you look at Leenock's resources, he can go to Castle Age at just 10 minutes game time.
Wow, yeah, already able to click up. Now, one thing to note, neither player has actually discovered the third sacred site yet. Leenock is actually looking for it down towards the south side of the map, or down towards the bottom of the map, as we would say. But speaking of the middle of the map now, we've got ourselves a bit of a fight in the stealth forest as players beginning to go against each other, and we've got a pretty decent mass beginning to build for Leenock, but I got to be honest with you, I would much prefer to be the guy with the spears than the guy with the archers, because in this situation, your melee composition is just going to do so much more work than the mixed composition of your enemy. Now, up against the French, that's a different situation, but up against the Delhi, this is not a good situation, and you can see the mass difference coming out now. Leenock just so far ahead, and it looks like StrikeR going to tap out. Leenock wins the game and moves on to match point. We've just witnessed the fourth game. It may be the second last game in the series, Lidakor.
Dominant victory here by Leenock. This was just flat out outplaying the opponent when it comes to execution and micro. And as you said, you probably prefer the Spearman plus Horseman army. You actually pointed out all those long sticks that the Horsemen and the Spearmen are handling. It actually makes it very difficult to focus down the spears, because it's somewhat difficult to see which of them is a Spearman and which of them is a Horseman, that big crowd, you know. Some of the vision, of course, is blocked by the big horses as well. So it's actually pretty difficult to click those individual spearmen when they're accompanied by horsemen as well. And it just makes it much more difficult for those archers to be effective in those fights.
Yeah, it's a really, really good point. It can be so difficult to differentiate between that. Yeah, as you mentioned, especially, you know, when those big fights happen. But I guess the thing for me is, as well, is obviously there's so much speed that comes in when you've got the horsemen together with the spears. Everybody's just running at you so quickly, and you're trying your best to micro out the spears, and you're just not going to have a lot of luck, unfortunately.
Yeah, and in many ways, this game was very reminiscent of game number 2. Roots Mirrors on a Boulder Bay map. It's a race for those first couple of combat ships. This one is a race towards the first couple of sacred sites, and just being able to carve out a bit of a military lead, and we have seen that for Leenock. He took one good fight, and from that point on, it was just a snowball that was growing and growing.
Yeah, really well played by Leenock. If you guys are watching this one on YouTube, I encourage you, check out Lidakor. I'm going to leave a link in the description over to his page. But more importantly, Lidakor, we got another game coming up very shortly, very soon. And it's match point now. It's big business.
It's big business, and we're going to an open map over here. StrikeR has used up already 2 of his home maps, one of which he won. That was the only map he won, that is Boulder Bay. And now he lost one to Leenock. That was Hillandale. So you have to go to Lipany, and since Mongols are available for both, it is likely going to be Mongols pick, and indeed it is.
I'm looking forward to it. We're going to see ourselves some Mongols today. It's been rare that we've seen Mongols in the tournament, but I guess that's typically because, well, not in the tournament, I shouldn't say in the tournament, in the series today. Just because obviously players are kind of saving it for a little bit deeper into the series that they play.
Exactly. You never know what you're going to encounter in like game number 3, 4. You don't know how this series is going to shape out. You don't just want to bring in your power sieves to game number 1 and 2 because, as weird as it sounds like, losing game number 1 is less important than losing, let's say, game number 4 or 5 because as you go deeper into the set, every single game increases in importance. So you're trying to save at least some of your more powerful civilizations for the later stages, and Mongols is a key example of this one. You're saving it until game number 5 here. And of course, you're trying to find a suitable open map for them as well.
We've got ourselves a Mongol mirror here. That's a little bit... Ugh. I don't know how I feel about that. How do you feel about that? Be honest. Be honest. You can be honest with me, Lidakor. I will permit it.
Well, the people that think that Mongols are overpowered will be very disappointed because Mongols are guaranteed to win this game. That's my honest and precise analysis of the situation.
Yeah, that is an accurate one. That is an honest assessment right there. But by the same token, where every game there is a winner, there is also a loser. Except for that game in Age of Empires 2 that lasted 95 hours. I don't think anybody won that game.
That was disconnect.
I mean, technically, yes, someone won that game, but everybody lost that game, if you get what I mean.
No, it was fun. I was watching it. And, like, one of the players had the opportunity to win if the other was AFK, so it was just a waiting game. Was definitely an entertaining one, but one thing is sure, you can't die in AoE 4. I'm not sure if you remember, but in the team game tournament, we had a game where the two teams constructed a wonder in the exact same split second, and you still had one winner. So you can't get closer than that. Unfortunately, in every single Age of Empires 4 game, as you would expect, someone has to win.
Yeah, that is exactly it. We got 55 seconds before we begin this game. I'm suspecting there's going to be a lot of fighting in Age 1. I'm looking forward to it. Do we restart our games? Let's restart our games right now. Come on, quick, go.
Maybe 40 seconds.
Maybe that will fix
speed
it.
Restart. Speed run the restart.
Yep. I'm doing it right now. All right. You got to be really careful with your restart on Steam because if you do it a little bit too early, you're going to get that annoying sound that comes through where you try and start Age of Empires 4. And it's like, Age of Empires 4 is already running. And it gives you this sound. It's like, hold on, I'm going to try and do the sound for you right now. Bing bong.
No, it's not like that. It's much more annoying.
It is a bad noise. I don't like that noise. But we are now diving into the game. I don't know about you, but I'm going to head straight through to the game.
Right click. Come on.
I know I'm inviting to group.
Nope.
Invite to group. Okay, the profile pictures have loaded in. Where is it? It's not coming up for me.
No, they say they're in the lobby. Oh no!
No,
they might have just missed the restart. Or even worse.
No.
It's Mongol mirrors.
Yeah, no one wanted to watch it anyway.
Drongo, it's possible we missed the game.
It says they're in lobby. Hold on.
Or are we?
No. It is possible that we missed the game.
There is a recorded game, so we should just check it out because I have no idea. It's a Mongol mirror, so it's possible we actually missed the game.
Hold on.
Okay, so there is a recorded game.
There's a recorded game. It's 4 minutes and 20 seconds long.
Perfect length.
Yeah, I mean, do we actually miss that fucking game?
I mean, we need to check because what if we did? I mean, they will have to wait 5 minutes for the spec delay for the next one, so let's go.
I'm going to Nilly's stream. Just give me a sec here. I mean, they're watching it like the game is just unfolding. Lidakor,
okay,
I think it's time
let's go.
Let's go. I'm viewing the replay. Okay, guys, I hope you're ready for the world's fastest game.
Okay, you need to do a countdown, though, because you need to pause it like 1 second, because it's a wreck.
Yes. Yeah, right. I'm pausing immediately. Okay, where are you?
1 second.
Okay, I can't believe we literally missed that game. That's hilarious. Okay. By doing this, we're not actually going to have the spec scene at the end as well, remember? It's quite literally going to be a 4-minute 20 game.
Yep. All right, let's
All right.
go.
Let's go. G'day, fellas, and welcome to a casted game. Spawning in on the right side of the map, we've got Leenock, who is playing the Mongols, plonking down his town center up towards this northern tree line where he's got a beautiful gold mine and a beautiful life that he has begun up here with his Khan. On the other side of the map, Lidakor, who have we got?
We got StrikeR coming in with the Ovu in front of his base, and as much as the town center spot is great for Leenock, having the gold and the wood close by, it's another great town center spot for StrikeR over here. He only has one forest to the left of it, very open right side, berries exposed, gold far away, so he probably is very disappointed about that town center spot compared to his opponent, and especially in the Mongol mirror, which could be very punishing. This is a bit of a problem here for StrikeR. In fact, it's probably bigger than just a bit of a problem.
Yeah. Now, Lidakor, I don't know about you, but I've got a feeling this isn't going to be the longest game.
Yeah, me neither. Me neither.
So full transparency to those who are watching this on YouTube, Lidakor and I are casting this live right now. But when we say live, I mean technically we're live. We're on Twitch. We're waving to each other through the window, all that good stuff. We said, hey, the game's about to restart. The game is about to start. Let's just restart our own games because in the last game, if you watch that one, the Delhi Mirror on Hillendale, we had a bit of trouble. There was a bit of lag. So we said, let's restart. Maybe that fixes things up. And we got back into the game. And we couldn't join the game because, you got to right click and then observe the game. And you just couldn't do it. Leenock's wouldn't work. And I tried StrikeR. It wouldn't work either. And we went and looked in the match history and we saw there was already a game. This game is 4 minutes and 20 seconds long. So I'm not going to pretend to in any way, give you guys the heads up about, the length of this game. We are fully aware. This is a 4 minute and 20 game. I'm just curious to see what happens, Lidakor. Like, how can a game be over at 4 minutes and 20 seconds?
Well, one word, Mongols. You got the Spearman coming in here already for StrikeR, second batch of double Spearman on the way. Meanwhile, for Leenock, he's just now starting to make spears over here. And if nothing else, this is going to be a great clickbait title. You can say that this is the ultimate 420 game.
That is true. I have blazed it many a time to this game, despite it not even... I don't even know how it finishes yet, so who knows? And in fact, I'll be honest with you, Lidakor, full disclosure, I've never blazed it in my life. I am a blaze-free bloke.
All right, now, in regards to that full transparency, we don't know if this is actually a crash. So we know that the game finished before we actually jumped into it. But we actually don't know if this is a crash and they would just replay the entire thing. Because obviously we just see the game there. We don't know anything about the result. So we'll have to see. So far, nothing really happened. And we just have Spearman being massed back at home. Neither of the players is really motivated to move out. Because if you move out, your opponent will always outnumber you with Spearman. Because they will just be mustering those up back at home and you will have to wait for your reinforcements. So it just ends up being both players going for full defense. And look at that. StrikeR is moving his DC.
What? He's moving the town center? Wait, where are all of his sheep? Now that I've realized...
Wait a second, he doesn't have food.
He doesn't have food at all. He had no sheep that spawned in, did he? Is that what happened? Did he call for a restart? I think that's what happened, and now he's trying to put the town center down. I think he's just called for a restart. This is...
Yeah, well, like, that's so weird. Like, Leenock has a lot of sheep to work with, though. Like, Leenock has 10 sheep that are still alive, and 4 carcasses. It's actually possible. Yeah, that's the end.
It's a restart. It's gotta be a restart.
Yeah, it has to be. Like, I would be very surprised if Leenock was so successful gathering sheep. Like, Leenock would have 14, 16 sheep himself, so he probably collected the majority of that, but there is no way that StrikeR had, like, no sheep to work with. The weird thing here is that these are admin-pricked seeds.
Wait.
So...
Is it a restart? I mean, I'm looking. There's one. He's got the 2 sheep. He's got 1 sheep next to his town.
Yeah,
he's got 1 sheep that he starts with. Immediate sheep next to him. 2nd sheep within the town center of line of sight. That is fine.
Aussie, they're offline.
They're offline?
It might just
As
be
in,
me being blind, but I don't see either of these players online. And this is the second time I'm scrolling through my friend list. And the thing is that
hold on. So
usually...
just to clarify, right now, because I've just restarted the game because I was 100% sure that this was
Yeah, I'm
a
trying to
map restart. You're saying that neither of the players are online.
Well, Leenock now is online, but he's not in a game. And the thing is that usually Arabia-style maps spawn with around 16 sheep, so when both players are successful finding sheep, you have about 8 of them. And wait a minute, StrikeR was harassing the villager of Leenock. If you go back in time, Leenock is building a barracks, and StrikeR's Khan was harassing that villager the whole time. I don't think that StrikeR was missing out on sheep. Yeah, look at the back of his base. There's 3 sheep over there, 2 on the front. It's not like he has a low amount of sheep. He has 3 behind his base. It's the Khan that's moving forward. I think he legitimately just sent the Khan forward trying to kill the villager and he forgot about the sheep.
Oh my god. Is this the biggest mistake we've ever seen in history? He literally... And now he subsequently sends the Khan back. So the Khan did a bit of damage on that villager. He then brings the Khan back towards his base and he's like, fuck, I need sheep. I forgot about my sheep. But keep this in mind. This is the big brain move. Leenock opened with a scout. So he's technically on 2 scouts. So he's picked up all of StrikeR's sheep.
Yeah, and that's what happened.
He's picked up his own sheep from the scout. StrikeR comes back to his base. He's like, oh, it's fine. I'm going to find some sheep. He then goes around his base exactly on the same path that Leenock went before. All of the sheep have already been taken. So he doesn't get any sheep.
Yeah, it's a lame. And like, the idea is that StrikeR probably thought that he's gonna be able to pick up his sheep back at home because those are safe. Leenock will start scouting the map and he won't take his sheep. So you can try looking for sheep anywhere on the map, but the safest place and the most guaranteed way to find sheep is behind your base. But what if Leenock comes in and you see, at around 2.5 minutes, StrikeR comes in trying to scout the back of his base, realizing that he has no sheep. He just got lamed big time.
That's it. That's good game. StrikeR has lost the game. Leenock goes through to Berlin. Wow. I can't believe this is how it's ending. On one hand, it's anticlimactic. On the other hand, I'm pulling my hair out, thinking, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah, it's like, just for the good measure, even we didn't know what was happening, because if you just look at, first of all, we were like, okay, we have the time to restart our game, because what's the probability of a game having shorter time span than 5 minutes? And then you're like, okay, it's 4:20. And when I first looked at the recorded game, I thought it's just like a crash, because as we discussed, these are admin-picked seeds, which means that the players should have no trouble with the map. So the only possibility is that the game crashed. And that wasn't the case. Like, we checked out this game, I thought it was gonna be a crash and we'll just take a look at this until we wait for a restart, but no, it's not. It's just the fact that StrikeR sent forward his Khan trying to kill a villager, and Leenock used that window to collect all the sheep.
I'm in awe. I'm in absolute awe. Wow, what a game. I mean, I did not expect that at all. So very well played going over to Leenock. I mean, he was looking incredible throughout that series. And he's definitely going to be an absolute contender when it comes to Berlin. So, yeah, incredible stuff.
It is indeed incredible stuff, and Nilly is probably like sitting there, oh shoot, I need to buy an airplane ticket from Korea. Because StrikeR was from Germany, so you can literally just buy him,
a train ticket. Get over here,
or just pay for his taxi or something. But oh shoot, I'm gonna have to buy an airplane ticket from Korea to Leenock. But I mean, Leenock deserved this one. So while this was such an anticlimactic ending to this, we also have to keep in mind that Leenock outclassed his opponent in the majority of the games.
Yeah, agreed as well. It is, yeah. I mean, he's looking incredibly strong, and that's part of the reason why at the moment he sits at rank 12 on the ladder, I think it is. He's in great position. All right, well, that was the second set of the